Everest claims more summits, but K2 demands more lives. On Everest, crowds navigate fixed ropes and rescue teams. On K2, a single mistake is usually fatal. The real danger is not just in the numbers. It is hidden in what the history books do not explain. So what has actually kept more climbers from returning home? In the early decades of high-altitude exploration, death was not an aberration, but an expectation. The men and women who first set their sights on the world's highest peaks accepted that survival was uncertain and rescue was a fantasy. In 1924, George Mallory and Andrew Irvine vanished high on Everest's northeast ridge, last glimpse through swirling clouds, inching upward without the benefit of reliable oxygen. Their equipment was primitive. Oxygen tanks were prone to failure. Clothing was no match for the cold, and there was no way to predict the sudden violence of Himalayan storms. There were no fixed ropes, no established camps, and no coordinated teams waiting to help. When Mallory's body was eventually found decades later, it lay just below the summit, frozen in time, a stark reminder that knowledge and strength alone could not guarantee a safe return. At that time, altitude sickness was a mystery. Cerebral and pulmonary edema, conditions that now send climbers down the mountain immediately, were unnamed and unstoppable. Fatalities were recorded in the margins of expedition logs, accepted as the price for pushing into the unknown. These early expeditions were less about managing risk and more about enduring it. The mountain was a riddle with no solution, and every step higher meant another step away from rescue, from safety, from home. In this world, the difference between life and death was measured in luck and weather, not in systems or support. In 1953, a new kind of ascent unfolded on Everest. Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay relied on careful planning and teamwork, not just grit, to reach the summit. Their expedition used fixed ropes to secure dangerous sections, established a chain of high camps stocked in advance, and carried improved oxygen systems that could be trusted to work when it mattered most. Sherpa climbers managed loads and guided routes, transforming the climb into a coordinated effort rather than a solitary struggle. This approach turned Everest from a one-off gamble into a mountain that could be climbed again and again. Logistics became as important as strength. Weather forecasts, though basic by today's standards, began to shape decisions about when to move and when to wait. The summit became a target reached by systems, not just by luck or heroics. By the late 1970s, the definition of success changed again. Reinhold Messner and Peter Haberle climbed Everest without supplemental oxygen in 1978, proving that survival at extreme altitude was possible through discipline and adaptation. Messner's ethic was simple. The summit is optional. The descent is mandatory. Turnaround times and self-control became as vital as ropes and oxygen. These innovations, logistical, technical, and ethical, laid the groundwork for modern high-altitude climbing, where every system is designed to shrink the space between ambition and survival. On Everest, success has created a new kind of risk. During peak season, more than 100 climbers can set out for the summit in a single weather window. The route above Camp 4 funnels everyone onto the same narrow path, where progress slows to a crawl. On summit day, lines form at the Hillary Step and South Summit, stretching for hours. Each person waits their turn, burning precious oxygen and strength in the thin air, while the weather clock keeps ticking. Base camp, once a Spartan outpost, now supports a population the size of a small village. There are medical tents, satellite phones, weather briefings, and rescue helicopters on standby. But these systems, for all their sophistication, cannot speed up a traffic jam at 8,800 meters. When the line stalls, climbers are trapped in the death zone, exposed to wind and cold with no way to retreat quickly. Oxygen bottles run low. decision-making falters as bodies and minds fade. Crowding doesn't just slow movement, it changes the psychology of risk. After weeks of acclimatization and tens of thousands of dollars spent, few are willing to turn back when the summit is finally within reach. The sunk cost bias takes hold. Even experienced guides and Sherpas feel the pressure to keep moving upward, hoping the line will clear before the weather turns or the oxygen runs out. The statistics show a lower fatality rate on Everest compared to other 8,000-meter peaks, but the numbers hide how close the margins have become. A single delay can mean hours longer in the death zone. In 2019, photos of summit queues circled the world, but the real danger is quieter, a slow erosion of safety masked by the appearance of order. The crowd becomes a single organism, vulnerable not just to the mountain, but to its own momentum. K2 rises from the Karakoram like an unfinished pyramid, its flanks steep and unyielding from every angle. The mountain's most infamous section, the bottleneck, cuts across the southeast face at over 8,200 meters. Here, climbers must traverse a narrow 50-degree couloir beneath a looming ice cliff, the Serac. The margin is razor-thin. A single misstep or a shift in the Serac above can erase the line between progress and disaster. Unlike Everest, there are no crowds to slow you down, but there is also no safety net. Rescue above Camp 4 is nearly impossible. Helicopters cannot reach these heights, and no team waits below with spare oxygen or a ready plan. Every climber is on their own. This is where most of K2's tragedies unfold. On August 1st, 2008, teams from around the world reached the summit late in the day, exhausted after a slow climb and tangled rope fixing at the bottleneck. As darkness fell, a block of ice broke free from the Serac, sweeping fixed ropes away and trapping climbers high on the face. 11 people died, some from falls, others stranded overnight in the death zone. Pemba Gyalje Sherpa, moving quickly and prioritizing self-rescue, managed to save 3 lives. For the rest, there was no way down and no help coming. K2's fatality rate has hovered near 1 in 4 for decades. The mountain allows no mistakes and rarely forgives delays. Where Everest offers systems and support, K2 strips away every buffer. Here, survival depends on speed, judgment, and luck, all in a place where even the strongest can vanish in a moment. Above 8,000 meters, the body and mind begin to unravel. Fatigue blurs judgment. Simple decisions, when to turn back, how much oxygen to save, become life or death calculations. An expedition doctor once described it plainly. Above 8,000 meters, you are not climbing anymore. You are managing decline. The only question is how fast. Most fatalities are not caused by a single mistake. They unfold through a series of small errors, a delayed turnaround, a forgotten piece of gear, an extra hour spent in the death zone. The 1996 Everest disaster showed how group pressure, exhaustion, and weather combine to overwhelm even experienced teams. Climbers pushed past safe limits, and by nightfall, 8 people lost their lives on the descent. On these mountains, risk is rarely obvious in the moment. It accumulates, one overlooked detail at a time, until the margin for error disappears. Glaciers on both Everest and K2 are retreating faster than ever measured. The Khumbu Glacier beneath Everest has thinned by over 1 meter per year since 2015, exposing new crevasses and making traditional routes more unstable. On K2, permafrost loss and shrinking ice fields have triggered a sharp rise in rockfall and Serac collapses, especially along the bottleneck. These changes have shortened reliable weather windows. Everest's summit period now lasts just a handful of days, while K2's is even less predictable. Governments and mountaineering bodies are responding with proposals for stricter permit caps and mandatory experience requirements. Nepal has reduced Everest permits to 400 per season, while Pakistan is moving to limit K2 access and require prior high-altitude climbs. These measures reflect a new reality. As the mountains change, the systems meant to keep climbers safe must adapt or risk falling behind forces they cannot control. Every year, more climbers step into the thin air, drawn by legends and statistics. But as climate instability shrinks safety margins and crowds grow, the real danger shifts. On these peaks, survival isn't about strength. It's about respecting limits no